we can't avoid having conversations about politics, whether it's Donald Trump, because I have personally come to a conclusion that these narratives that dominate are essentially of two kinds. They are both about power. The first is the power that governs, dominates society, which is politics. Number two, that puts money into the pocket. So business and politics. And I think that's where we need to look and watch. Are we part of a political system? And I'm not talking about political system simply in terms of democracy, whatever. I'm speaking about that system of thought, those narratives that dominate us. And I think the question you raise, how then do we get out of simply being locked into these systems into which we were born?
For example, I've worked in South Sudan. I've worked in helping victims of the Kony war, and I worked in the world post-war. But
you're always looking for the hard places.
No, I've always chosen places that were stable, to be honest. I've never gone into, there's these people like Médecins Sans Frontières, and they sort of almost follow the lines, go into. So if you take people who've gone into Gaza, how many people have lost their lives? So you take doctors in, and so there's always this tension between I want to stay alive and I want to do good. And I'm giving you the example, and I've chosen to go into areas where there was war, but I went when there was stability. Okay, maybe people didn't see it that way, but it was relatively stable.
African societies didn't need to do too many words. What did we do? Music, dance, drama, art, all those were forms of communication that are actually indigenous to us. That's how come we could relate to the world in the ways in which we did. So I think that every era will produce different ways, forms of communicating, because we are beings that communicate, that interact, that have this ability to. So if AI begins to talk to each other the way they do, there is something about us that will be discovered supersedes what AI can do. I believe that personally, and I think there will be these cycles. Will Africa survive? No, it's a conversation that you and I have had before, I think.
If you take, we have relative freedom of speech in Uganda, but there are boundaries where you self-censor. And if you want to have a peaceful life or secure life, then you live within those boundaries. It's a bit sad that we're seeing, it's not a bit sad, it's very sad that we're seeing where Gen Z came up in Kenya, came up again in Tanzania, made their voice heard, and they've been dealt with by military force.